to my report. Just a few things. We're in the thick of the grass growing season. I'm noticing some lots and things around town that are getting out of hand. Wendy is on top of that usually and takes care of that. But what I want to ask is if everyone will pay attention, and if you see property that needs attention, that's overgrown, please let her know. She can't see everything and be everywhere all the time. So she depends on us to be her eyes and ears out in the community. So if you'll please just keep her informed so she can keep up with that. And our guys do a really good job of keeping them cut when they have to cut them. So just ask for your help on that. Wendy, I'm going to ask you during part of my report to give an update on the Virginia Department of Health grant money that you applied for the pressure reducing valve, as well as the status of the second tranche of our federal ARPA money that we're due for June.
So the Virginia Department of Health Office of Drinking Water grant that I applied for specifically was to request that we get a pressure reducing valve put in at the bottom of the hill. Because as everybody knows, it's not doing any good to put it at the top of the hill. It just gains back the same momentum that it lost when it was leaving it at the top of the hill. I have been in contact with the Office of Drinking Water, and they have informed me that what they saw was that we had another application in through Mr. Jeffries from Thompson and Litton, who also covered the same information. So they believed that with that information that he had, that it would be looked at underneath his application instead of the one that I submitted. So that's where we stand with that right now. We have not heard about any awards or anything like that of any monies yet from that. They're still looking over the applications. As far as the second tranche of ARPA payments, we had received an email, and I'm sure that the other localities did as well, a couple of weeks ago, stating that, they had to make it as close as possible to when we got the last tranche of payment, which was June 30th of last year. However, as of today, through our Department of Accounts, through the Virginia government system, it still had not shown up. So you will see on your agenda tonight that we had mentioned that if it had been deposited, that we would vote on moving that money over to escrow. That will be discussed later.
Any questions for her concerning those two items? I expect what will happen is that'll hit the bank tonight or tomorrow.
That's what I'm thinking too, because they're supposed to, according to the Treasury guidelines, they were supposed to do it 12 months from, or close to the 12 months date as the first one.
And that's right at $150,000, right?
It's $151,553.
And just, one second. Just so everybody knows, how much of last year's do we still have in escrow?
109,000.
So, and next month we'll vote to transfer this money
Over to
into the
yes.
escrow account, so it's out of the operating account. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. Are we able to go ahead and vote on it, pending that it comes in?
No.
We have to wait until it actually hits the accounts.
Okay.
Any other questions for Wendy? Okay. The next thing I want to touch on is we have a vacant council seat, as was discussed at the work session. And Roberta Paradise resigned, and we really need to appoint somebody to that seat this month so we can stay within the 45-day limit. If nobody comes forward or council is unable to make a selection of anyone that comes forward, then this will revert back to the circuit court judge for Allegheny County to make an appointment. I just want to caution council and everybody in town that we don't want that to happen. We really need for someone in town to step up show an interest and fill this vacated seat. We want to maintain the control over that, and we don't want to turn that over to a circuit court judge to make that decision for us.
Who would they be appointing? I mean,
Say that again, I'm sorry.
the county or
Say that again.
who would they be appointing? I mean, where would they be picking this person from?
They would solicit candidates from Iron Gate. They would most likely reach out to council or me for recommendations of people in town. And then they would reach out to those people and encourage them to become interested. And then, quite honestly, they probably would appoint the first person that applied.
I see. And we've had no applications at this point.
Well, the ad just went in, when, Wendy?
Last week.
So the ad's been in the paper for a week, and at this point, we do not have any applications of interest.
Okay.
So we need to really kind of talk this up. It's hard because this will be, what will this be, the fourth appointment this year for vacated seats. So, when you have that many vacancies in 1 year, they become harder and harder to fill each time. So I just encourage everybody that's listening, everybody in town, to reach out to your friends and your relatives and encourage them to get involved.
When is the deadline, Chuck?
I'm sorry?
The deadline?
The deadline is, actually, I guess it'll be the meeting on what day do we say?
If council votes to move up the meeting in order to be within that 45-day time period, it would be the July 21st.
July 21st, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but we really need to get that done, so. Any comments or questions from anybody about that? If you know anybody, please encourage them.
What's your term limit on?
So this term is for an unexpired term finishing in 2024. So it would be basically a year and a half. But that would be 2 years and a half, wouldn't it? 2.5 years. And be up for re-election at the end of 2024. The other thing, big thing that I need to talk about tonight is the river park. We've had some issues at the river park this year. We made it through last year pretty good without any problems. We've had some issues this year. The problem seems to be that the neighbors feel like that their property is being trespassed on and encroached upon. Of course, the usual noise complaints and accusations of alcohol being in the park, things of that nature. I just want to go on record and say we have provided everything that the neighbors have asked us to do. They asked us to post signage stating what was allowed. We did that. They asked us to clearly mark our boundaries, even down by the river's edge. We put signs up on what we call the beach area, which is the riverbank, that clearly says, this is the park boundary. Past this boundary is private property, remain inside the park boundary and on town property. From where we sit as the council and the citizens, I don't think there's any other enforcement action that we can take. We have absolutely no police authority whatsoever. If somebody's trespassing on their property, they need to call the sheriff's department. And the sheriff's department will send a deputy over there. Granted, if the deputy has to come from the west end of the county, they may very well be gone before they get there. But there is procedures for them to follow, even in that case. And they can be prosecuted for that. So, we've tried to be good neighbors. We still try to be good neighbors. I just want the council to realize that we have received these complaints. They know about them. we've done what we can do about them, open for suggestions how we can make it better. But I also want to stress the fact that even though this is the elected officials of the town, we have no police authority over that park. And we especially have no police authority over anybody trespassing on somebody else's property. I'm correct on that, right, Jared?
Yep.
That is an issue that they need to take up directly with law enforcement. What is the town's obligation for these complaints, if any?
I agree with what you said. The town's done as much as they can, so.
That's kind of where we are with that. So, any questions about that? Any comments about that, or?
Just got a whole lot we can do. I mean, the signage is up, the gate's up. And then she said, we don't have a police department. I mean, the sheriff's office patrols it and responds down there, so we can just continue to do what we're doing and do the best that we can do.
And be the best neighbors we can be, and that's all we can do. I mean, they could have a water treatment plant set right beside them, because that's what the deed to the property said we could do with it. We could put a water treatment plant in over there, so, I'd much rather have a park beside me than a water treatment plant, but, you know, it's not that I'm insensitive to the fact that they own property over there. It's just, I don't know what more the town can do. We've done everything they've asked us to do. Any reports from the standing committees? And Wendy,
I have a report for the ordinance committee.
okay,
A problem with the dogs at the trailer on Commerce and Fourth has been eliminated. The tenants have left and took their dogs and 11 cats with them. I'm
wow,
happy about that.
okay. So that issue's off the books.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. It's, you know, it's a slow time, really. We need to schedule a Parks and Recs committee meeting. Hopefully, well, I'll tell you what, Wendy, just send out a blanket email tomorrow to everybody on the committee and ask them when would suit them, in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
An evening here, preferably not terribly late in the evening, if we can do it earlier in the evening instead of later in the evening.